It's the Stranger Nerds here, Season 4, Chapter 8 for Papa. Myself, Connor VanDemark, Mitchell Lea, and Tommy Graham
Aye.
is with me. Hello, hello. Then we are getting the episodes. We are written and directed by the Duffer Brothers. This is the second one in a row, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. But yeah, this has been good. We're getting to that climax finally. I know you said that there was a couple month hiatus in between 7 and 8, which I'm
Yeah, about a
so
month and a
glad.
half or something like that.
I'm
And
glad
it
that
was
doesn't exist for
just,
me.
They did a real dick move where they give the big one reveal and then they made us wait for a good month or two, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, here's 2 episodes. One's an hour and a half, and then the second one's just a full fucking movie."
yeah, the other one said, afternoon long.
So I have to schedule my stuff around that one. So we'll see where it gets fitted in next week.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's not like you have to watch that and also like 7 horror movies.
he's not watching them. I am.
I'm watching them. What the hell are you talking about?
I am not. I don't have that time for that.
Oh, I thought he was saying I wasn't watching. I was
No,
like, man,
I
I might not be watching the right ones, but I'm watching them.
Yeah,
All right.
Mitchell has a hard time keeping track of movies.
Oh man.
I'm good at it. I just, my mind just, let me down this week.
Any comments before we dive right into it? Because there's a good amount here.
No, this is just one of my favorite episodes of this season. I just love the build up and how it ends off. Kind of, tension's high, shit's about to go down. And the Duffer Brothers always do a phenomenal job of kind of bringing the groups together at the second to last episode to say, hey, this is what's going to happen. Buckle up.
All right. So
Yeah, I have a major complaint, but it's more for the next episode. It was just stuff that me and my fiance were talking about during the episode. I'm like, man, I really wish they would do this, and they never do. But we'll talk about it at a different time.
all right. So let's dive right in. So we're going to talk about Russia first with the Hopper storyline, and we have the Demogorgon who's gone rogue. By the way, there's some interesting reactions concerning the Yankees game currently on, and Mitchell is making some faces, and it's
I
distracting
thought
a little bit.
Stanton hit one out of the park. It was just a really nice sack fly.
Oh,
I thought that was
man.
going. I thought that was going to end up in Hoboken.
So, Demogorgon is currently still in the fighting ring, is now currently climbing out. While we have the security guard letting them know that everything else is under control, and Joyce and Hopper have a moment saying, "Oh, he's the hero, Hawkins. Everybody thinks he's dead. Elle misses him." And then,
I just liked how Joyce kind of reassured him because I think Hopper definitely needed that.
yes, very much so.
The thing he's been through, so just kind of have that like, hey, like we didn't forget about you.
There's a lot of these kind of scenes in this episode,
and that's what I really liked.
Moments.
Episode where there wasn't a lot of action necessarily in this episode.
Very tender.
It was a very emotional, very heavy episode. This was just everyone kind of had their bonding moment at some point. So they did a very good character development episode with this one.
Then they hear the noises in a different room, and the one scientist that's still, I guess, conscious is like, "Don't go in there," and of course they go in, and they find a Demogorgon tied to a Gorney, and just
where did they get them all?
I think cloning.
This was like the goddamn Rise of Skywalker. Somehow Palpatine returned. Somehow the Demogorgons returned. Where did they all come?
No,
this
not that stupid. Come on, man.
It's not that stupid, but that's my closest similarity that I can think of when I watch this scene.
It's Russia. It was probably your neighbor.
I did take a guess that it was clones because of the fact that you can see them in different sizes, and they're just kind of incubation tanks. So like that'll be my running theory at the moment, because that would just like very much like acquiesce into that kind of like motif is not the right word, trope in a way. When you see those tanks, like, oh, they themselves are the ones who are creating these things.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting though, like that they were able to even strap it down to a gurney and like cut it up and stuff, like while it's alive. Like that was very interesting that like the Russians were doing this kind of experiments.
Yeah.
And like that in itself was intriguing to me, and like if that's going to lead to somewhere in the future.
Yeah.
Um, and then so Hopper pops in the head, puts out his misery, and uh, then they find, which took me off guard, was the Mind Flayer whipping around inside a box there, and that's
Yeah.
the one thing I'm like, where did he get this? This is the one that I was like, there's some hanky panky going on here, because that is something else that is,
It's like your little shop of horrors in this little lab.
yeah.
I
And
was
in fact,
expecting like Dr. fucking Frankenstein to pop out and like, it's alive, and let it loose.
and the fact that like how we were able to capture it, like that's something where I'm like, I am very much curious about.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, where did they find all these Demogorgons? How did they capture them? How did they get them there? How did they capture the fucking Mind Flayer? Like,
The Mind Flayer one is when I'm like, the Demogorgons I can understand. The
yeah,
Mind Flayer, the fuck.
yeah. Like, are we led to believe that everything that happened in the U.S. also happened in Russia? Like, was someone else possessed and they managed to capture it? Like, how the fuck did that happen? But
Yeah, that one is currently going, because that
yeah,
happened again like 2 seasons ago, and
yeah,
because we haven't seen the particle version of it in a while.
yeah, that's true.
So and we did see a little snippet of like, oh, Russia is in the fold and at the end of season 2, but like we still, the fact that they were able to capture a piece of it after this whole thing went down is something where I'm curious where they're going to go with it, and like I'm assuming we're going to explain her in the future. Like I can definitely see the next season there be some new character from Russia who we're getting some backstory on, like what everything's going on with the group. We're seeing some character in the backdrop about all of that doing his own adventure or
I
her own
think
adventure.
that's a good prediction. Because I don't remember the season finale if they covered that section at all or explain anything about it. I don't think they do, but I don't remember. But that's definitely the Duffer Brothers didn't put this in there for no reason. There's
Oh
definitely
no, they were very purposeful with their
Yeah.
actions.
Yeah.
So Dimitri lets them know, like, hey, I found a vent underneath where the Demogorgon was, and they go outside. That's great. Go into their stolen van and bust through out of the prison. Um, so Antonov warns them that, like, oh, the guards were track them down, so we need to get the hell out of here. So they go to Yuri. Yuri hoping, saying, oh, I can fly us out. I was like, I have somewhere else. Now, being very careful with his word selection, and turns out that what he has to fly him out is looks like a helicopter with jets on the back of it. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on the side of his wings of the helicopter, but it looks like it's pretty.
It's a custom helicopter.
Yes. Very funny though. Yuri. That was a very funny Yuri scene.
Yeah.
Um,
But
and
I like how Joyce was smart and kind of made the suggestion of like, hey, why don't we call Dr. Owens
yes.
to fly us out?
And but also, no, Dimitri realized, like, oh, like, hey, KGB is gonna be on us too. Like, they are gonna be listening in, make sure you speak in code of like,
Yeah.
we need help.
Yeah.
Because like I'm kind of curious how she's going to communicate, and that's something I don't know how she's going to relay it to them. Like, hey, Hopper's with us now. We need help to get the hell out of here and help you out.
Yeah.
Especially with his predicament at the moment as well. Which we'll get into now. 10 Cinemas episode, Papa. We have pretty much the climax of Elle's storyline here. With her whole background.
This was a big 11 episode. I really enjoyed this. The acting was great.
Honestly, this is to me, I like this the most in this episode was all the Elle stuff. I don't honestly, I don't think I'm as high as you on this episode is to me. Like, I thought it was a good episode. I had no issues with it, but I don't think it's like a grand slam episode to me. We'll get to that later. So
I agree with Connor over here. I like it. It's good, but it's not like, oh my god, staple my balls to the wall good, you know?
I
That's
never
a
said it was
weird.
good.
That's a weird turn of phrase. We'll get to the ratings later, and we can discuss that later. But
I'm saying it's a very well put together episode. Everybody has their role. It wasn't a predominantly 11 episode. It wasn't predominantly, Hawkins group episode. It was kind of an even spread across the board. Hell,
Oh,
even Michael
I
will have a moment, but we'll get to that.
yeah, we're gonna
okay,
talk about
let's
that
discuss
later.
later. Let's discuss later.
Yeah.
All right. Or when it comes up. So we have Elle. We get to cut the scene of her finishing off one slash Vecna slash whatever his first name is, which I thought was very fun from Robin later
Hank?
on.
No, not Hank.
Henry,
No,
Henry,
that's not. Hey,
Henry.
Hank is short for Henry. You know, Hanky boy.
So Dr. Brenner realizes when he enters the Rainbow Road that like one pretty much evaporated her or one into this dimension. She passes out, and but then we get the scene of her getting resuscitated by them. And then meanwhile, in Jonathan Argyle and Mike are on the way over. Mike expresses concern. Elle won't need him anymore. So this is definitely one of those scenes with Will where I'm like I can definitely see the acting that you're mentioning, Mike Mitchell, where it's like it's I had to bring it up, but I had to say though the overall writing of this scene is really good though, which I think is a tragedy.
Yeah, it's a tragedy because they have the world's worst actor delivering lines that are halfway deep. I'm not as big of the dialogue fan as you. I think it's a little bit too on the nose and like.
Well, it's because the thing is that I like the writing of that scene is because of the fact that no, it does bring up the point to me where that it did cross my mind is could Will be gay?
Yeah.
Because the fact that like this is someone who like I'm a straight guy, they're right there, but like I was like, oh, to me it looked like Will has these feelings for Mike, and like I feel like that it could have been done much better acting wise for that. Because
I also think it would have made more sense if they had more clues throughout the seasons. I felt this was so out of left field for him to all of a sudden have these strong feelings for Mike, where before, like, obviously we know they were like, best friends, and Mike was always considered Will's best friend, but for him to all of a sudden have feelings for Mike was kind of out of left field for me.
For me, it just kind of seemed like it was written for the same people that wrote like Rey and Kylo fan fiction. Damn, we're talking about Rise of Skywalker again. But like when they kiss at the end, and it's like where'd any of that come from? It's like, oh, it's for the people that write fan fiction. Fuck them. Like, who cares? Like, don't write for those people. They'll write their own stuff.
But the other thing is they made Jonathan in on it too, as if Jonathan kind of knew, because the way he was looking at Will during that whole conversation was like, yeah, he knew what was going on, and it's almost like he knew before this happened, like that he had feelings for Mike. None of us knew. It was
well, or
I appreciate the character growth, but it was just kind of a random. I felt out of left field for me.
I don't think Jonathan exactly knew, but it was more of a realization to Jonathan of like what the situation is. Because like again, I feel like it could have been done better, but like because we finally found out what the painting is, and the painting is of the party.
Yep.
And actually, I'm kind of curious. Do they show another version of the painting in the finale or no? Or is this the only time we see it?
I don't remember.
I don't think
I have
they do.
Very little memory of the finale, so I'm actually excited to watch it again. But I don't think they do.
So I'm thinking now, because from this painting, because he mentions that Elle's the one who commissioned it.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't see in there if Elle was in the painting.
Well, that was the thing, because he basically made that up to not let Mike know, like, hey, like, I really made this because I wanted to make it for you. He made it up. He basically threw 11 under the bus as a scapegoat, say, hey, 11 wanted me to make this.
To me, I wasn't a scapegoat. That was me. Like, to me, I heard that as this was something that, like, he was doing Elle a solid there, saying this is something Elle wanted me to do for you. But
Yeah.
we all know that he was always being secretive, though, so we don't really think that either.
Will was trying to be there emotionally for Mike at this point, basically trying to cheer him up, because Mike was getting in his own head about 11.
Yeah.
Very in his own head.
Yeah. But I aside from the emotional aspect of it, I think the drawing has some purpose to the next season, because again, skipping ahead a little bit to Nancy's section, but the fact that she saw, a monster involved, and the fact that Will painted the 4 core characters of the show fighting a dragon.
Yeah.
I think
Is he supposed to be fucking clairvoyant? Will the dumbass? Like what?
But
I don't know, but
the thing that was like he's also being respectful to Mike, though, is like, because Mike, he knows Mike's heart is with Elle, and he understands, like, because he painted the heart on Mike's shield as him being the leader, and like he said something he does really connect with. He also is lone sick, but like he knows that what he feels for Mike is not the same reciprocated back. It's more of like friendship bond than it is something where it's like, oh no, like Mike and Elle have, where it's something where they really are connected.
Yeah.
And it's something where I was like, this is really. It was in a way kind of like heartbreaking, but at the same time, like I was. This is one of the character developments I've seen in Will that I'm like, I'm interested if they pursue this further.
Yeah,
because I thought it was an interesting wrinkle. I'm like, because you can kind of still, to me, I'm not surprised that they went this direction.
But that's also relying very heavily on him to actually pull off the acting next season to continue that arc.
Yes.
Because it
doesn't
an awful lot, but I do think they'll pursue that more for next season.
Yes. Because I do think that, like, because what I do think that what Will tells Mike is very much sincere, though.
Yeah.
And like as they're doing that. Okay. That's it for that.
Yeah.
Anything else? We're good? Cool.
Back to 11.
Yes, back to 11. So Elle's resuscitated. Dr. Owens wants her to make her own decisions, which Dr. Owens, yay, I like him. Dr. Brenner.
Remember back when you guys thought he was a bad guy?
I didn't think he was season 2. Yes.
You and Izzo were very, very heavy on the Dr. Owens as the villain band train.
Like,
was I?
No. Connor and Nick were both
on.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I don't think I was.
Well, I was more so the fact that, like, we didn't know his intentions, and that's simple as that. And it very much could have been a situation where he could have changed, and we don't know. But we definitely see him as someone who, like, at the end of season 2, I definitely did turn a bit. I'm like, there, like, compared to Brenner, there is actual humanity with him. Brenner, to me, is more narcissistic than anything else.
Yes.
So we had this great moment of Elle lifting the Nina tank, showing that she has her strength back. So Brenner explains to Elle, like, one, that the overexertion of powers caused her to fall into a coma, and when she awoke, all her memories prior to the event were erased and her powers weakened. This happened back when she was doing the lab with him.
Yep.
So Brenner pretty much had knowledge of, like, piece together what happened, and like what happened to one, like, he's in some other dimension now, and so Owen shows Elle the autopsy. He's like, hey, we know he's back because the deaths that we've seen are the same.
Yep.
And Brenner warns Elle that like, oh, Vecna is weakening the barrier, and he's whoever kill he commits, Hawk is destroyed, and like really upping the tension on her. And Owen's like, dude, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
that was.
She's just a kid. She just went through a lot. Like, give her a couple seconds to kind of wrap her head around everything.
Yeah, and like she generally knows what is up for grabs in these situations. This is her first rodeo, but at the same time, like we just let her go through her whole traumatic thing. It's like, oh, I'm the reason why this all happened in the first place, and now he's going to destroy everything.
Yeah.
So Elle goes to her room to calm down. She wants to check in on the gang, which good idea. So she runs the water, goes into her place, and see that her friends are already talking about, how are they going to combat Vecna, and getting ready to prepare themselves, and knowing that like, oh, they're in danger, and she lets them know like, hey, I need to leave now. Get me the hell out of here. And I'm the main weapon. I need to be there to help support them. And Brenner is like, hell no, you still need to train. One is too strong for you.
So I have to cut in real quick and say that I saw a lot of ties with the 11 storyline with Star Wars, because this was very heavy with Empire Strikes Back, where Luke knew his friends were in trouble and Yoda's like, no, you got to train. And Luke said, fuck this, I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
So little Star Wars tie in there, and we get another one coming up soon, but we'll mention that when we get there.
True.
That's my nerding out.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a big tie in there. So Owen's like, hey, I'll let someone know they're trying to go and try to protect Max. No, let her know what's happening. Yeah, Brenner's like, no, she needs to train. Brenner's he really does put one on a pedestal with good reason, because he is a very strong entity.
Well, it's also because Owens knows they're fucked. Brenner knows they have to play out the defensive at this point, because if they lose 11, they're fucked. So
but at the same time, with Owens knows that time is ticking, because if Elle already knows they're in danger already, then the window that they had was much smaller than they think.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious if Owens even knows about his agents that were stationed at the house, if they're alive or dead.
I don't think that he knows at all.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like the kids are even there in the first place is a shock to everyone. It's like, are those civilians here? What the hell's going on? Like,
yep.
Like no one really expected like, oh, like it's the kids. Like they just like, oh, it's just some random ass people here.
Yeah.
And a goddamn pizza.
They call them civvies.
No, that's normal.
That's typical for government military.
Like they call the stuff that like regular day clothes that they wear civvies when they're out and about.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that I hear from my people. So Mike and the group arrive in the location, the coordinates, think they're lost. Argyle knows the military tracks the dirt. Good on him. Good job, Argyle, being a zone out boy.
You know what? I've given Argyle a lot of shit this season. That was the one moment where I was like, all right, there we go. Give him something to do while he's out, wandering around by himself. I like that. That was a good use of that character.
Back to the day where we compared them to the Mystery Inc. gang, he is very much the Shaggy of the group, where he just kind of wanders off, does his own thing, but magically comes upon the whole plot and figures things out and not realizing it.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, because like it's just by happenstance, like, oh, hey guys, look at this shit. Like,
like last episode with the whole pen concept, where he's like, oh, the pen doesn't work. He has the plot point right in his hand, but he doesn't realize what it is.
But I'm gonna say there's Argyle though, is like I like seeing him not as high.
Yeah.
Because the fact like no. Because the brain, like I understand, it's this nice kind of like Jekyll and Hyde thing of like, oh, like there is actual an anxiety ball of mess behind all of it.
Yeah.
But like when
We
the
don't know
brain,
his backstory.
yeah,
That's
we don't. But like when the brain starts ticking, and like, oh, like there's like the fact that he knew, oh, why tires? This is a military vehicle. We're in the right place. We need to get moving. But like in his own way to translate that to the other group.
my headcanon for him right now is that his dad was military and was killed.
Mm.
And
Like very
that's how
much,
he
or
knows
like Vietnam, like vet kind of
that's why he knows that
situation.
kind of information, and he uses drugs to cover up the the pain for the grief. But that's how he knows that information.
I like that theory.
That's my
That's a
headcanon.
good little headcanon thing I like going on. That's good. I like that. I like that. So knowing that now as the audience, we know like, oh, the military's right on their way, and alarms go off. Meanwhile, before that happens, I jump forward a little bit. Brenner had a conversation with Dr. Owens, telling Owens, "I'm in control here. Screw you." Had his man take care of Owens and handcuff him to one of the rooms.
Yeah, that was
And
a little much.
again, Brenner being a narcissist, and he thinks
Yep.
everything he thinks is correct. Um, and uh, then Brenner has a confrontation with Elle, and it's like, "Hey, I know we said you, Dr. Owens had a change of heart. Like again, trying to manipulate and
Yep.
trying to get Elle, like no, trying to get Elle to train more again, like to move forward his own purposes, and that's when Elle was like starting to get wise to his act, like going through his memories, like no, like Papa lies, like you are a
Yep.
manipulating bastard,
Yep.
and
She calls
you
him out on it big time.
and it's like I came here thinking that I might have been the monster, and like in fact it's actually you who's the actual monster here, and like this is bullshit. And then she busts out, and then Brenner tries to trank her, and which she does successfully.
Yep.
And she wakes up with the collar over her neck. And Brenner's like, "Oh, it's okay." And like Elle's going through the trauma again. Like now I'm a freaking prisoner again. This is exactly what I didn't want to happen. And Owens is nowhere to be found. And then the alarms go off. And then turns out Lieutenant Colonel Jack Sullivan is on his way with his men. And they get into the bunker. Big old fight scene. Owen picks up Elle, tries to leave as they go through the emergency escape hatch. The copter that's still roaming around sees them, and as Owen tries to escape, pops some shots into him, and he falls to the ground.
Yep.
And meanwhile, the wonderful pizza van comes up.
He
Goddamn
And like,
takes
Arzal. Goddamn
he takes
Arzal for the win.
he takes a long time to go.
yes, I was surprised they didn't just kill him off. And
Yeah.
like him having his little moment at the end, I'm like, okay, like you should be dead by now.
Yeah.
Like a shot to the arm, the leg, and then the chest. I'm like,
Yeah.
They needed that plot point for the closure for 11 to finally just 100% move on from him.
Yep.
And
I suppose, but
Yeah,
it was
but-
also kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
but again, it's a sci-fi show. A lot of things
If they shot him to the stomach, I would have different stories. I'd be different.
the torso shots should have taken him down, but
yeah. So they're coming up. Owens talked to Sullivan's like, don't shoot her. She's important. Like Owen knows how important she is.
Yeah.
And Sullivan's like, shoot her anyway. Like, no, I'm in charge. I'm the one in charge here. And gives a green light. And then Elle's nowhere to be found until a second later. And then she's up with the helicopter. And then kapooey. Yeah, blows everything up. Like all the vans are now destroyed, and good for her on thinking that far ahead. And yeah, so it takes care of the military's means of transportation at that moment, and the pizza van comes up with all the gang. Elle has Brenner releases the collar off of her, and they have a little moment, and he's asking like for I don't want to say forgiveness, but like I was like, oh, I did this for you, and she isn't giving that satisfaction. I was like, yes, you go, girl. Don't give him that. Oh, it was so good.
it was.
I did like that they didn't go that route, you know, because it would have been very easy to do that, and it's like That's not earned.
No.
This was a great character arc for 11. Just I hated her in the beginning of the season with how dumbed down she was because she just wasn't in her element, but now she's finally coming into her own person. She stood up to her bully. She stood up to Papa. She's back with full power. She's ready to go fucking fight.
Again,
But
I think her story arc. I honestly I didn't mind that. Like
yeah, I love it.
I think her being dumbed down in the first place was impactful because like she literally is dumb. Like because she no one like she's dumb in the sense in that she had no actual education growing up.
Yes,
Correct.
That's what I
yes.
mean by that. Like she like dumb in this instinct is more so educational institutional knowledge. She
Yeah.
never had any of that. But like but she is someone who has been growing as a person who has been learning more about themselves.
Yeah.
And that in its own right is important.
The whole realization when she has that dialogue with Brenner about like, I came here thinking that I was the monster. That whole dialogue was perfect. I loved it.
And it was her going through her own trauma too.
Yeah.
And her actually able to sort through everything. Because it still was a traumatic experience. Like all her people she grew up with are dead, and she's the one who had to exile this person, to put it bluntly. And yeah, so the gang drives off without a shot fired on them, which I thought was weird. And yeah, they're on their way to Hawkins
Again,
as soon as possible.
Another nerdy tie-in with Star Wars because the whole hallway fight scene when Sullivan's men broke in, like that was very New Hope, like opening scene. And then 11 getting away with Sullivan kind of coming out was very end of Rogue One, where Vader's just watching the rebels get away. The Duffer Brothers actually said they referenced Star Wars. That was the whole inspiration behind those scenes.
That's interesting. I wouldn't peg the hallway one, but the Rogue One I would understand.
Yeah, the hallway scene was supposed to be like the hallway scene in the opening of Star Wars New Hope.
Okay. Interesting.
Again, that's my nerdy tie-in.
And that's it for L. I thought this was the strongest story arc of all the arcs in this one.
This was peak.
I agree.
This was good, and I enjoyed it, and it was a lot of good. Like I think this is a nice kind of bow tie on this whole backstory, the true backstory of L.
Yeah, and it was a true step up from her last big solo adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They learned their lesson, and they brought it home.
Yes. She's powered up now, or repowered. All right, now for the last group, which is the Vecna crew. I like your tagline. This is music.
best line of that group storyline for this episode.
Oh yeah, it came very early. I did have a thing on here that because it was a cassette of Iron Man.
Yep.
I thought I'm like, ooh, that's a great album. So Nancy is trapped with Vector's curse, and currently there's the younger Brenner, Tattoo One, and Brenner acknowledges her in this twisted reality that
it was an odd scene. The whole I'm very curious as to why Vecna let Nancy in, like, because I know he knows that she's investigating him, but I'm just very curious as to why he went through the effort of showing her everything.
I'm going to put it bluntly here. He's monologuing.
Fair, yes. This is fair. I mean, obviously, yes. In terms of story purposes, we need to find out one way or another. But just the way he did it, I thought was odd.
Because I will say that now I just kind of thought of something here too, and they bring it up later on. So it's like, why didn't he kill Nancy there? Which he could have.
That's what I'm saying. Like he gave the whole villain monologue, and technically he could have killed her.
I think I know why.
And he could have made her the fourth victim instead of.
I think I know why he didn't. I think it was circumstance in this situation. Because where was she? Where was everyone at this moment in time?
Well, they were at the trailer park, weren't they?
At one of the gates.
Yeah.
You can't stay. Could you stop? Could you put a gate on top of a gate?
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
I think. So this could be twofold. It was more so circumstance he couldn't, and
I didn't think of that.
And Max also is marked. I think Max is part of it too, where like, okay, she is the chosen victim. He wants her for because there could be other reasons why Max is someone who is important to that.
Yeah.
Because we still haven't really found other than the majority of victims going to the therapist at school, there is no real tagline in between them other than their own guilt over their own actions. So like, we'll see in the season finale. I don't know, but like, there isn't to me, like, I feel like there would be like a more of a hard line. These are the reasons why he chose her, and I feel like that he's like this will discuss that with Max either this season or the next. But the other fact that the gates themselves are right there. But it just popped in my head just now that we're talking about this. Like, oh, that would make sense because they're all there. Like that, if they put a gate on top of a gate, that doesn't really solve anything for them. So, but yeah, that's my thought. And then they're all scrambling to find music for her, and they're all talking like, oh, where's the Beatles or Madonna or whatever? Like, trying to find music that Nancy is acquiescent to. And it's like, so what the hell is this shit? It's like, oh, it's Iron Maiden, and like, it's like, this is music. I was like, oh, it's so good. I love it so much. So Nancy, while in the trance, that Vecna puts her in the illusion. What's the word I was using before? That was an illusion. I keep forgetting the phrase I used earlier in the season.
Hallucination. Yeah, let's go with that one.
So as she's going with this, Vecna approaches saying she wants to show her where he's planning on doing. This is him monologuing, showing, oh, this is the past. Let's show you the future, and shows her a Hawkins that is under fire. I didn't see the monster in this clip. Did you guys see that in there or no?
It was very brief.
Yeah.
Because Nancy did mention like it's a huge ass monster that was there, and I was like, yeah. I didn't see that when she was going through, but like it could just pass me by real quick. It
was very blink and you miss it.
Yeah. I still think it's a dragon. That's my guess.
That would be very fitting, especially the fact that Will already made that painting.
Yeah.
Like that could also be like Will's connection to the Upside Down too.
Also, I can't remember, but I think in the first episode, because we all know the whole D&D concept predicts kind of what happens in the season. Mm-hmm. Usually when they play the game, I think they were fighting a 3-headed dragon.
So the dragon, the main dragon that is in D&D is Tiamat, who is a 5-headed dragon. And Tiamat is like pretty much the ruler of all dragons, all of the chromatic dragons. So the red, the white, the blue, the black, and the green. And Tiamat has every single head color of it. So, but yeah, dragons get multiple heads. That's a common thing. I don't know if Tiamat's a newer thing or compared to the older D&D books, but like, Tiamat is currently pretty much the big bad of all the chromatic dragons. Which, hey, it could very much this could be we have seen before that they could really name this thing Tiamat, and because of the fact that like it has multiple heads, and then just sort of run with it because it's always a 1-to-1 ratio because Vecna is really Vecna here. We always won.
Yeah.
But he still has that tagline, so would not be surprised. That'd be cool though. I would like that a lot. That'd be a nice little. That's a nice full circle.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Vecna. So she notices the four gates.
Yep.
Which is also huge, and the monster that was there. And she goes through this vision. And then Vecna releases her. No, and kind of also like telling Elle, come on, come at me. Like it's kind of an egging on of this fight that he knows is coming. And with the real, all of his, we'll call officers, the Flayer and the Demogorgons, all know that Elle is this foil to one in this aspect.
Yeah. She's the only weakness to him.
I'm also kind of interested, just if the Duffer Brothers in like, because the fact that 11 is 11 and 1 is 1
and 2 is 2.
67 is 67.
What I'm getting at here is that the fact that, like, I can definitely see the Duffer Brothers making 11 11 because the fact that she is the other side of the 1, like a 1 versus 1 1.
She's
like,
2 1s.
Like,
and then 111 will be even better.
Well, I think it's just an interesting thought of it. Like, no.
Yeah, I do see what you're going for here.
Yeah.
I'm just no. I'm curious if the Duffer Brothers did mention like, oh, this is the reason why we gave her this number.
Yeah.
Because I can see something going with that. So Vecna releases. Nancy falls into Steve's arms, and they all gather up in the trailer. They go through, and this is the scene that 11 peers into.
Yeah.
So talk about the downtown on fire, a large creature with a gaping mouth, which Dustin, Lucas, and Max piece together. They think it's a mind flayer. Dead soldiers and Aryan monsters invading the family and friends' homes. Kelly telling them that she saw her mother, Mike, and her little sister Holly all dead. She mentioned that the last thing she saw were 4 gates, and each one being in Eddie's trailer. So Max realizing Vecna always having the 4 chimes, which I knew it was something. I'm glad I caught on to that. I feel glad that I was like, hey, this is something that he's doing very purposefully. Why 4? Don't know, but we'll get there. We'll find out in the future. But one of the gates being Eddie trailer was like, okay, we know there's 3 deaths currently, waiting for the 4th. And Max is next to the bench is like, hey, I still feel him, and he wants me.
Yep.
So, and this is very much, I don't see you put it here, but 4 is a very big number when it comes to apocalyptic events too.
4 horsemen, that kind of.
Yep. Exactly. And which I think is very, very fitting for this. I think it's also biblically as well. Like there is, other than the 4 horsemen, like there's other things that tie into that. Like I know from my long watching of Supernatural that they do talk about these kind of things. That show is so long but so good. But like there is, I think that I can definitely really lining that up. Like, okay, always tying into something going on. Max tries to dial the buyers. No one's answering. And then, so Nancy said whatever happened to the friends kept the Upside Down. In order to protect them, they need to go to the Upside Down, much to area with protest. Which, yeah, of course, Nancy just taking the lead on this. And Rob and Steve say no because they don't think it's a fair fight. Which Dustin noted and mentions like, hey, why fight fair? And that's like Dustin always coming up with some smart plans, and like this is the thing where like that's something that's out of the box thinking there.
When it's a matter of life or death, there's no point in fighting fair, and Dustin always realizes that every time.
Yep. And it's like, okay, I mean, like we know L's weaknesses, and we know that he's also in a vulnerable state when he does this thing, when he's in his trance. Why not attack him when he's like that? But we have a great opening. We know we can get a great opening with Max, and Max is willing to.
Yep.
And no, if she like, and even later on mentions like, no, Luke is like, hey, Luke is like makes a promise. Luke is like, hey, if you start floating, no, our wonderful girl is singing her wonderful pipes.
Mm-hmm.
Run up that hill, baby. So, but like and the fact that Max later on mentions like, I don't want anyone to get hurt. I'd rather have us have control of the situation, someone we can trust. And big ups for Max, baby, because that's a huge accountability that she's taking on and willing to step into play.
She knows she has nothing else to lose other than her friends, and she knows she's the only way to give them a chance to not die fighting.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, they don't think they have 11 in their court, so they're down their big players. So someone's got to step up.
Yep, and they know that the time is ticking on this.
Yep.
So Eddie shows in the wonderful yellow papers, RIP. There is a weapon store called the War Zone, and
very fitting,
like, of course. Then this is the place to gear up. And fair enough to avoid cops and angry hicks, which very funny. You know, the store is probably filled with hicks, as we saw.
Well, yeah, as Erica pointed out, she's like, that's probably the place we'll run into the most amount of hicks.
Yeah. But like, yeah, they need to gear up, and fair enough. I like the Michael Myers mask. That's the only thing that Max had for the hide his face. So go to the RV, hardwire it, which also brings in Eddie's background of like, what was he doing with his dad hot wiring cars? Like,
they steal someone's home. Well, I like that.
I mean, Eddie lived with his uncle, so I'm sure he had probably a rough upbringing with his dad.
Yeah,
he probably did shit with his dad kind of deal where his dad made him do stuff because he was little, could get away with it. Mm-hmm. So he probably learned a lot of things through his dad.
Yeah, and the fact that like is like I never want to be like him, but here I am hot wiring this fucking RV.
Yep.
So they take the RV. We have another nice moment between Nancy and Steve. Remember talking about his dream of having a large family across country, and then Nancy likes the idea, except for all the kids.
Yeah. This was the scene that I really enjoyed when I was saying about character growth and how it was a very emotional episode, because it was a very simple scene, but it was so powerful with all the conversations in the car of everything going on. I thought it was so well done.
It was sweet, and the fact that Lucas kind of took notice of it too, and then got up to talk to Max as well.
Yeah.
From that, so
I liked their conversation a lot.
I thought that was the best one, and mentioning like how Max is willing to step up to this.
We talked about the scene between Will and Mike. I liked the Lucas Max kind of, because you said there were a lot of moments kind of like this in this episode. I liked this one a lot.
Every couple had their grouping, because you had Joyce and Hopper in the beginning. Then you had Will and Mike. You had that eye glance moment between Jonathan and Will. And then you have all the couples now in the car. And then shortly we have a quick moment with Erica and Lucas and Dustin and Eddie. Like, everybody kind of has their moment to kind of group up and have that moment to.
All right. So this might sound so fucking weird. Have you guys ever played Fire Emblem?
Fire Emblem? No, I have not.
Okay. So a mechanic in this game is like when like between battles and stuff, like you could have like support conversations, and this is literally like, to me, the support conversation episode of like, oh, we're building a relationship back up higher. Well, my god, I just popped my head.
The other thing that I really like that made me really like this episode is because this is setting up the stakes to a point we haven't seen before in the show. We've always been at, it's kind of a little bit of a life or death situation, but we're now at the point where there actually have been people dying. It is life or death. And everybody's kind of having that subconscious, this might be my last conversation with this person. I want it to be meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really powerful with how the Duffer Brothers kind of laid it all out.
Yes, and
I mean, come on, you had Erica being nice to Lucas for once.
yes, in her own kind of like backhanded way.
Yeah.
And then I think the big takeaway from the conversation though with Lucas and Max is there's a memory that she has that she's like, there's a light that I can run to. It's like he's in my mind. This is my territory. I'm gonna try to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the first time we're seeing a non-user. Like I know Max kind of fought back the first time, but like someone who isn't really like the psychic type trying to, like, again, she knows his game plan, so like might as well give it a shot.
Yeah.
Trying to bring the battle fight on her terms.
Yep.
So they go out, they go to the war zone. Kind of surprised that they sent Erica in.
Yeah, it was an odd choice.
Because the fact that like what, they're in Indiana. What state they're in again?
It was an odd choice, but at the same time, they were short on bodies because you can't send Eddie in. You can't send Dustin or Lucas in because they're part of the Hellfire Club, so everybody's looking for them.
Steve is the getaway driver.
Yep. So
Steve was in. No, Steve was in there. He was talking to Robin.
Yeah, he was in there, but you need bodies to get as much weapons for 8 people when you only have 4. So yeah, Erica was kind of thrown in there, and you could tell she was uncomfortable, but
yeah,
it had to be done.
Yeah. Those who don't get any syntax, racism, just in case, because I saw her walk in, I'm like, ugh, that's uncomfortable. So Robin notices Vicky roaming the store, and then Steve tries to go talk to her, and then only when Vicky's boyfriend Dan approaches her and kisses her, causing Robin to run away in embarrassment, which is kind of sad. And Steve and her break up later.
They're both kind of having that similar, storyline in this episode where they're seeing their significant other struggle to find love connections.
Yeah. So at the gun counter, Nancy runs into a increasingly unhinged Jason Carver, who's pursuing a revolver.
Dude, he's lost it.
Yeah, he is going loony. So try to give sympathy for Chrissy's death, and he's kind of like on the edge, and he asks like, "Oh, is Mike and his friends or help our club with her?" And Nancy's like, "Just get away." And like it was very kind of a stern, "This is my boundary. Get the fuck away from me," like that thing. So the group leaves the store in a hurry. They grab whatever they can. Where are the money for this? That was something that came in my mind. Like, you're purchasing all this shit. Like, got a credit card? Like,
I have an odd hunch Steve probably has a card from his parents in case of emergency. Because
his parents are rich.
We know his parents are wealthy, but they kind of, he hasn't followed in that path yet. But I guarantee you he probably has that, this is the in case of emergency card, but he probably blew it up on.
That's a good one. I can. That's a good like loophole close. I like that.
That or very much Nancy could have had the money because she's working.
Yeah.
Her family is relatively wealthy,
but still, that's still like pretty expensive for someone who just got out of high school money.
Yeah.
So Jason sees them drive away in the RV, which I'm kind of surprised I'm gonna get him like following them. Like he's gonna come back up. We know it. Like he's in this storyline for a reason. They all meet up in the field and they have a little preparation moment, like calm before the storm. You got Nancy helping Max, or Max helping Nancy, getting a nice little sawed-off shotgun situation going over there.
It was a very Red Dawn-ish type seeing if you guys have seen Red Dawn or know what Red Dawn is.
Yeah.
Familiar, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah. I've only seen the really, really, really terrible remake.
So it's basically, bandit kid fighting against Russians who invade the U.S. kind of vibe, but they form a group called the Wolverines, and they gear up with a bunch of weapons to fight back. So it kind of reminded me of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie and Dustin making these nail garbage can shields. I do like the little moment between Eddie and Dustin was very nice. It's like, hey, don't change. Like, be who you are. Erica Lucas making the spears. Yeah. Erica going to all the games, even though it's like Erica shines like, oh, our parents forced me to go. It's like, our parents can't force us to do anything. What are we talking about? Like, but like her still supporting him. And it was like Lucas kind of like made a jab back. It's like, I was at my very most important game and you weren't there for that. And then Steve and Rob making the Molotov cocktails. The questioning of their relationship. No, of Vicky and Dan's relationship, that is. But Robin is very much worried because this is a big undertaking they're taking on. And how this could be a foreshadowing of like, oh, not everything might have a happy ending, because you don't know, someone might get killed off. We don't know, and
I do know.
All right. So since we're on that topic, predictions for next week, because it is a season finale. Connor, do you think anyone will be killed?
Someone always dies.
Well, not necessarily, because last season Hopper supposedly died, but then was brought back to life magically. Yes, we lost Billy, but he was
Billy was technically the death for me. Like there's like there could be a reason Jason dies. Someone's gonna fucking die.
Yeah,
it probably will be Jason, knowing him, because he probably have some redemption fucking arc.
So, are there going to be any major character deaths? Let me rephrase
that. Between the big party,
let me hear it. Come on, tell me.
Or do you think they're all going to live their merry lives until season 5?
Or do they all die? And season 5 is just like, well, hi, my name's Jeffrey, and no one's ever.
Eddie is, of course, the easy answer. Like, he is the right now. Like, out of all the seasons that we've seen so far, there's always one character who's always close to the party, but sometimes die. And we saw it with whoever played the I can't remember the actor's name again.
I swear to God, if you're fucking up Samwise Gamgee, I'm gonna be very pissed right now.
I knew who he played in Lord of the Rings. I don't know who remembers his actual name.
John Astin.
Thank you. I love him, but I'm just awful with names. Yeah, Sean Astin. No, Billy was a character that had ties to the group. Like, there's always someone that's like tangential to the group dying. Eddie, I can definitely see filling that role. I wouldn't like it. I think Eddie's someone who I like to keep around, but like, I say the same thing about Sean Astin's character as well. So like, we'll see. Like, you know, it'd be a funny curveball, in my opinion, would probably be Argyle.
Oh, Argyle taking the bullet?
Because the fact that, like, I can see them getting there and, like, him throwing into the position is, like him, like, stepping up for some, like, out of nowhere. Like, because he's been thrown into this. He's been thrown into a lot of crazy shit already. He's like, fuck it, whatever. And I can see him doing something that's like a sacrificial kind of situation.
His would be the most heartbreaking death. He'd be like fucking Dobby, the way, like, just that innocent.
That's not a bad comparison,
right? Like, that's just.
I go Argyle. I will go Argyle. That'll be the one I put down for.
Okay.
Okay.
Just for like overall, like, I think that will be a actual impactful one that wouldn't lose too much of the overall impact. I know Jonathan would be hurt from that, but like, we have enough connection with him that, like, there'll be some ripples, but it won't be something that will be overall impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the end of the episode with the group dropping off Max at Lucas Erica at the Creel house and them getting ready to go in.
It was a hell of a cliffhanger with how they just ended that episode. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh, great! I texted the group too.
Great
Like,
music as well.
oh,
Yeah.
I Journey, great band, but to me, that is my favorite Journey song. And I was like, oh, this is a great
season 4.
way to leave off.
Like I've said, season 4 has been a great season for music, and the biggest moment happens next episode. I'm very excited for you to hear.
Well, it's a season finale. Of course, it better be. Like,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, you know, there's going to be running up the hill. Like that's a given. It's going to happen.
But I don't know if you know what else you'll see.
I don't.
We'll see
because I haven't watched it before.
Yeah. Well, then you don't know. Haha.
Guess what? After next episode, I'm officially caught up.
Dude, after next episode, we're all going to be on the same page going to season 5.
Nice. Yeah. Crazy.
We're definitely going to have an episode after the finale of just
full recap.
One recap and theories of what we think is going to happen in season 5 because we've got a little while to go.
Yes,
yeah,
we do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
All right, ratings. Tommy, you go first because I'm interested in what you're going to say on this one.
I give it a 9.6.
Yeah, I'm at the high.
Good.
Oh, stop. Mitchell's had enough of my ratings from the Press Play Action podcast.
Yeah, because he'll be like, man, I really liked this, the pacing. I thought the acting was good. I thought the dialogue was good. I give it a D. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Well,
I'm gonna go my gut here. What my original thought was an 8.7.
Okay,
I think it's good. And like I thought there was no thing that was really like cliffhanger-ish or like it's building. It's the calm before the storm. I get it. It's a good episode. But like to me, it wasn't anything that like there wasn't like. I think part of it too is because the last episode is such a long episode that like there's no reason for them to really up the ante going into that one.
Yeah.
Because the fact that it's just going to be a long episode of banger after banger.
I think I just like this episode so much because this is my only second time watching these episodes. Whereas all the other seasons, I've seen them all numbers of times. This episode still got me super excited for the season finale. I ended the episode going like, "Oh fuck, I want to watch this right now" because like it amped me up. Even though nothing crazy happened in this episode, it was just very character arc building kind of episode. But I still was excited for the season finale.
I wouldn't say amped up for me. To me, it was more a lot of like tying loose ends.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I felt a lot of satisfaction for this episode, but wasn't like a satisfaction as a story point wise, but not as a I can like there was previous episodes where I mentioned like I could run through a wall, and this was not one of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, I guess it's my turn.
I'm gonna go 8. Let's go 8.55.
I was going to say the fucking same exact thing. You bastard.
Okay. I
know. I'm going to say the same thing. That was my gut was 8.55.
Right. Let's see.
8.78.
All right, see right me on that one.
I'm a little higher than you expected. Haha, what's up?
No, but I'm not surprised. Like I was thinking,
it was a good episode. I enjoyed myself. It was a good episode. I'm not, creaming my jeans over here like Tommy is, but I had a good time.
So, last question, Connor, what do you anticipate happening in the season finale?
Oh, who the hell knows? Because
a lot of things wrapping up here, but
the issue that I'm currently having right now is how the hell, because we know that Ale is going to go fight one.
Yep.
But the big difference is that there's a huge distance in between them. How are they going to go over to Indiana, Illinois? I keep forgetting where they're from.
Indiana.
Indiana.
Yep.
Illinois is so they go stay over to Chicago. That's right. From this season 2. So how are they going to get their ass over to Indiana in quick enough in time because it's 2,000 miles away?
Yep.
And for L to make an impact because we do know timeline wise that what we're seeing with L is happening at the same time as their conversation. So there isn't much leeway to hop on a flight immediately and get their ass over there.
Yeah.
And it isn't like they're adults where it's like I guess Johnson's an adult, but like isn't like a joy situation with Hopper like, oh, we're just gonna go take a plane somewhere, like you're like go commandeer a plane for you from Yuri or something. And that's the other thing too is like we still have the wild situation going on with Hopper and Joyce of like they're out still in Russia right now. Like, are they going to have any influence on the season finale? Which, of course, they're going to have something going on.
Yeah.
But like, are they so far out of it that will they have any impact? And I don't think they will. I think it's something that's going to be brushed on in season 9 a lot more. I think this is going to be a very much party centric group without the Russian team. But there's a lot of distance that needs to be covered in a short amount of time that I am really intrigued how they're going to solve that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, well, like I do like I don't think Vex is going to die. I don't think I do think they have a good plan, but I do think that something is going to get in the way of them, and I do think that Jason is going to. I do think Jason will go through the gate. Jason will venture through with them wherever place they plan on going. He's going in with them, and I don't think he will team up with. I think he'll be more of an annoyance, but like he's going to unwillfully team up with them. I think that's my bold prediction.
Okay.
So
I like it.
Yeah, because he's going to see this fucking portal. I'm like, we're going in this shit to fucking solve this shit. If you wouldn't, you're like, I can see Nancy's like, you're either with us or against us. Figure it out. If you're against us, we'll shoot your ass.
Nagging kid that follows them into the portal and be like, haha, found you guys. You guys are...
that's how I'm seeing this playing out.
I like it. All right, let's wrap this bad boy up unless you got any other big predictions to make.
Nah, that's it. Like, I'm really curious what this memory that Max is going to have too. Because you mentioned, it's like, oh, it involves Lucas, but like, I very much can see them just being like the party itself, and just like them like hanging out together with Elle, and like very much like reminiscent of like the mall scene, with like her having fun with Max and like building that budding friendship that she had, but like kind of that kind of ambiance to it.
Okay.
So, yeah. All right. Anything else, gentlemen?
That's all I got.
All right, let's wrap this thing up. Follow us on our socials, Jersey Nerds Productions, Changer Nerds Press Play Action, going through wonderful Halloween stuff right now. They're having fun over there with Halloween movies. I assume you guys are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All 7 that you watched that Mitchell has not watched in proper order, or whatever it was.
I only just watched a remake instead of an original one time. That's it.
Okay, that's fair. That's
yeah.
Fair.
It was Children of the Corn. It's not like an iconic anything, you know.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
My Halloween stuff going on right now is Dead Space, which I've been playing for the first time, and it is a thriller and a hell of a game.
My Halloween stuff going on is I'm going to watch the Yankees lose right now, and then I'm going to watch the Jets lose tomorrow. So
let's go Mets.
Fun stuff.
Yep. With that, that's it for everybody. That's it for Trader Nerds. For Mitchell Lea, John VanDemark, and Tommy Graham. Have a good one.